Hi, Scary Recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Ready or Not from 2019. Beware of spoilers. The year is 1989, and the film opens with the brothers Daniel and Alex Le Dumas running around in their mansion. Little Alex goes and hides in a closet, and soon after, Daniel is approached by Charles, the new husband of Aunt Helen. Charles is wounded and begs Daniel to help him. Instead, Daniel alerts the rest of his family, who soon come in, dressed in robes and masks. Helen tries to save her husband, but Charles is shot with a spear gun and then dragged away into a room where he supposedly dies. 30 years later, Alex is about to get married to a woman named Grace. The family she is about to become a member of is a wealthy one with a huge reputation in games. Grace is nervous but retains her composure while she is being introduced to the La Dumases. She first meets Daniel and his straightforward wife, Charity. Alex and Daniel's father, Tony, doesn't seem to approve of Grace, and so does Aunt Helen, who scolds at her. Alex and Daniel's mother, Becky, is friendlier towards Grace, stating that Alex needs to be her focus. Presently, a ceremony takes place and Alex and Grace get married. Later on, the newlywed couple share a few moments together before Helen intrudes and tells Alex that there is something that needs to be done and their presence is required. Grace is confused and Alex informs her of this tradition the La Dumases have every time a new member enters their family. Grace meets the rest of the Le Dumas family, Alex's cocaine-addicted sister, Amelie, along with her husband, Fitch, and their two sons, Gabe and Jordy. Tony La Dumas explains to Grace that his great-grandfather, Victor, started this peculiar tradition when he made a deal with a strange man named LaBelle. A special box was handed to Victor and the means to gain his enormous wealth in exchange for something that is not mentioned. Grace is present with the mysterious box, and the La Dumases ask her to pick a card in order to start the game. At this point, Charity says that she selected chess, and Fitch selected Old Maid. Grace draws hide and seek, and everyone in the room falls silent. Tony then says to Grace to go and hide, and to stay hidden until dawn if she wants to win. Grace does so, unwillingly at first, and as she leaves, the Le Dumas family begin to arm themselves with guns, axes, and crossbows. Grace hides inside a dumbwaiter. The family goes off to find Grace, and Alex decides to go and warn Grace. He finds her first and tells her to be quiet. Clara, one of the maids, is seen wandering in the mansion moments before she is killed by Amelie, who mistakes her for Grace and shoots her in the head. Tony, Helen, Daniel, and Becky dispose of the body while Grace watches the horror. Alex takes her to a secured room and informs her of the actual meaning of the game, hide and seek. The Le Dumases have to find and kill Grace before dawn, otherwise they will all die. Alex cares for Grace and promises to help her escape the mansion. Alex goes to disable the security system and Grace tries to leave. Tony, Helen, and Daniel see her and move in to grab her. Amelie, however, high on cocaine, starts to shoot at her in a crazy fashion. She misses and Grace runs away. The Le Dumases know that Grace is aware of the nature of the game now and begin to worry. Grace runs into Daniel, who decides to give her a head start before alerting his family. As the Le Dumases gather to form a new plan, Tina, another maid, walks in and Amelie, edgy as hell, shoots her in the head with a crossbow. Helen finishes Tina off and says to Tony to turn on the cameras to find Grace, at which Tony declines. Meanwhile, Grace arms herself with a rifle and hides in the kitchen. The butler of the La Dumas family, Stevens, enters the room. He notices her and Grace tries to kill him with her rifle, but the ammunition isn't real and so she smashes the teapot in his face. Grace runs away just in time as Alex manages to unlock all the doors and windows of the mansion. Tony and Daniel discover Alex in the control room and they knock him out. Grace has exited the mansion and Alex is being carried away, handcuffed in his room. Helen says that Alex will soon come around and accept his place in the family, just like she did after Charles was killed. Grace is spotted by another maid, Dora, who is hiding in the dumbwaiter. Dora calls out to the family about Grace, but accidentally kills herself. Grace runs away again and goes to the stables. Georgie is there and shoots her with his gun, injuring her hand, but Grace knocks him out. A goat then startles Grace and she falls down into the goat pit, which is filled with the corpses of animals and past family members. Grace climbs up and runs to the front gate. She gets out and waves at a passerby who unfortunately does not stop. Stevens finds her and Grace fights him. She decides to strangle him and, believing that she has succeeded, she takes his car and drives away. After a short while, Grace attempts to get help, but the customer service agent informs her that the car has been reported stolen and hence turns it off. Stevens then, who is still alive, sedates Grace and takes her back to the mansion. He video chats with the family to notify them that he has Grace, but fails to notice Grace waking up. The family tries to warn him, but Grace hits Stevens and causes the car to crash, resulting in his death. Grace gets out and Daniel finds her. He tells her that he can't disappoint his family and knocks her out. Back at the mansion, Becky talks to Alex and attempts to persuade him to support his family. Alex replies that he will kill them if they hurt Grace. Soon, Grace is placed on an altar as a sacrifice to Mr. Lebel. A chalice is passed around with everyone drinking from it. Suddenly, they all start vomiting blood. Daniel has poisoned the chalice with hydrochloric acid to make everyone sick. He frees Grace and assists her, but Charity comes up to them and shoots Daniel in the neck. Grace wrestles the gun from Charity and pistol whips her. She then goes to Daniel, but he is a lost cause, already bleeding to death. He tells her to flee. Alex comes and sees his brother dying. Tony goes after Grace, but she hits him with a lantern, and as she drops it down, a fire begins. Becky attacks Grace and tries to strangle her. Grace grabs the puzzle box of Mr. Lebel and beats Becky to death with it. As Alex comes to Grace and talks to her, it is clear that she doesn't love him, and so he betrays her and hands her over to his family. The ritual starts again, and Alex points the ceremonial dagger at Grace. Just before he stabs her, Grace breaks free and seizes the dagger. She screams at the La Damases, who, in terror, see that the sun has come up. It is now too late for them, yet nothing happens. Was it all a hoax? Even so, Helen grabs an axe and goes to kill Grace anyway, when all of a sudden she explodes in a rain of blood and entrails. The deal was real all along. Fitch, Charity, Amelie, George, Gabe, and Tony all blow up. Alex asks for Grace's forgiveness, but she says that she wants a divorce. Alex explodes as well. The mansion is on fire, but before Grace leaves, she catches a glimpse of Mr. Lebel sitting in a chair, nodding at her. Grace, all covered in blood, exits the mansion and sits on the steps. She lights a cigarette as the police arrive. One of the officers asks her what happened to her. Grace simply replies, "In-laws."